Good evening. It's Monday, July 7th, and I would like to call to order a meeting of our licensing board. We have Alderman Butchlick, Alderman Zingsheim, and myself here present tonight, full quorum of our licensing board. Our first item of business is licensing board regular meeting minutes from July 16th.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Butchlick and Zingsheim. Any questions, corrections? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll move into our agenda items for consideration. Class B combo renewal liquor license for Sabor Mezcal.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Alderman Zingsheim, Alderman Butchlick. Any issues, questions on this one, clerk, or everything's good to go? All right. Any comments, questions? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Our next one is a new Class B combo liquor license for Tall Boys. Ian?
Yep. So the council had previously approved a renewal license for this location. I did speak to the applicant that the LLC that was part of the renewal application was dissolved, unbeknownst to him, by the previous owner. So they had to reapply under a new LLC. That's why there's a second application under Tall Boys. It's just a new LLC, same location, same ownership as with the new owner as was previously approved. I did speak to Mr. Ryan today, and he is prepared. He has to get final occupancy and stuff, but his repairs are completed. He's going to be open in the near future. There's a couple of the final inspection, seller's permit, a few things like that that he has to dot the I and cross the T on. But he should be open in a timely manner, so this shouldn't be any further issues with this. We had some concerns about why was there a second application for the same location. I will note, though, that if for some reason he isn't open, we'll bring it back for essentially revocation after the 90 days, if he doesn't open within the 90 days, because it has been closed for quite a while, so.
Thanks,
A
Ian.
motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Butchlick and Zingsheim. Any questions, comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 4 is a new cigarette license application, 2025-26. That's in your packet.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Zingsheim and Butchlick. Any questions, comments, discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Our next one is an overview of the 25-26 renewal application. Clerk.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Alderman Butchlick. I'll second. Clerk?
We sent out all of our renewal applications on April 10th this year by email. Applebee's closed. They did have a regular liquor license. They closed April 29th. We sent them, the corporate office sent us an email on May 12th that they are permanently closed and to disregard any further liquor license renewals. So we did send out a final letter June 5th to make sure that to tell them that their license would expire June 30th and not to sell any liquor. So we will have a regular liquor license available, which per our code, we do have to put into publication, wait for 30 days to collect applications, and then we will be bringing it back for review of those applications with potential approval. So it's probably not going to come back to council and licensing board, depending on advertisements, until either the end of August or beginning of September.
Sounds good. Thank you, Clerk. Any other questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries, and the licensing board is adjourned.
I call to order a meeting of the Finance Committee. We have 4 items on our agenda this evening. The first is the approval of our regular meeting minutes from June 16th.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Butchlick and Schmidt. Any questions, comments, additions, deletions? There being none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Our second agenda item is resolution number 19 for Shooting Range Development Grant. Welcome, Mike.
Good evening. This evening, our department is requesting approval for the proposed resolution for a Department of Natural Resources Shooting Range Development Grant. In September 2012, we opened the municipal archery range located on Municipal Drive. One very important aspect to this development back in 2012 that we did not have funding for was parking. Since we opened the range in 2012, range users are allowed to park along the west side of the sewer utility building. So our one primary goal with this grant application, or tonight it's the resolution in front of you, would be the construction of 6 parking stalls right along Municipal Drive, right along the range. Of those 6 stalls, one would be a handicap stall. The project would also include an ADA ramp down to the shooting line itself and asphalting the shooting line, making the entire site ADA compliant. At this point in time, if someone has a mobility device, they can park in front of the sewer plant, like I said, along the west side of it. We do not have any ADA access to the range at this point in time. It's a solid standard curb, no handicap ramps or anything like that. So this was a project, or has been a project that we've been kind of wishing and wanting to do for, well, since 2012. Funding is obviously a concern for us to, try and get this project done. The shooting range grants came out through the DNR. Rick Fox, our project manager, has already had a conference call at the DNR. We will score very high during the grant process. That's the preliminary estimate for the DNR at this point in time. So again, this evening, we are requesting a vote for the resolution that gives us the ability to apply for the grant. The grant itself will cover up to 75% of the cost of the project. Estimated cost at this point in time is $56,000. So if we were to score real well, get 75% of our project covered, we do have $6,000 in our archery range fund yet from annual donations. We would also try and acquire some donations from other community groups and possibly come back to the council as part of the 2026 or 2027 CIP projects. It might be that $10,000 mark where we may need to kind of get this project, up and moving forward. So this evening, it's the resolution. At some point in time, we would bring the grant and the project and everything else back to council for permission to bid and award and all that stuff. So I'd be happy to take some questions.
I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Zing-Simon and Sizer. Any questions for Mike on this project or on this grant application?
How many parking spaces are there going to be?
6. It would be 5 standard, 1 handicap, and then the ADA compliant ramp. To be honest with you, in recent weeks, I took a phone call from a resident. He uses a mobility device asking where he can or can't park because we can't park along the road there, things like that. So I don't want to take those phone calls anymore. It'd be nice if we could open this up, make it a little more easier for everyone to use.
Agreed. Any other questions? There being none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Item number 3 is a resolution number 20, authorizing the sale and the appropriation of funds of Parks, Recreation, and Forestry Department surplus equipment.
In early 2025, our department sold a 1999 dump truck at auction. This evening, our department is requesting to utilize those auction sales to help cover the cost of a 2025 lawnmower. The new mower is replacing a 24-year-old machine. Our increased costs are coming from the vendor, obviously, and one big jump is emissions for our diesel engines, things like that. So this evening, we are requesting to transfer those auction funds to our purchasing or expenditure account to help cover the cost of the new lawnmower.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Zing-Simon and Sizer. Any questions for Mike on this topic? There being none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Item number 4, award bid for City of West Bend Parks Workshop re-roof contract.
Thank you. This evening, we are requesting approval to award the Park and Forestry Workshop roofing contract to Higher Ground Roofing for $43,142 with an approximate 4% contingency at $1,858. This project is a 2025 capital budget item with a total budget of $45,000. The project includes the replacement of the metal roof on the north section of the Park and Forestry Workshop. 5 bids were received, and Higher Ground Roofing was low bid. Higher Ground Roofing is a quality contractor that has done a tremendous amount of work for the city of West Bend. Recent projects include the roof at the library. Last year, they did 2 small shelters for us out at Ridge Run Park. They've done work on all kinds of city buildings. They do work on state projects, federal projects, Walmarts and Home Depots and things like that. So this roof project would be a fairly simple job for them. Any questions, I guess?
Is this a flat roof or hip roof?
No, it's a metal roof on the north side, the north section of our workshop, John, so, it's just an existing metal roof. It would be total replacement and installation for that, just that north section, not the flat section,
Okay.
not the flat roof of the workshop.
Okay, thank you.
I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Butchlick and Zingsheim. Any further questions for Mike? There being none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. There being no further business before the Finance Committee, I adjourn as chair. Thank you very much, Mike.
Good evening. It's Monday, July 7th, 2025, and this is a meeting of the Common Council of the City of West Bend. More than 24 hours in advance of this meeting, notice of the time, place, date, and subject matter of the meeting was posted in accordance to Wisconsin state statutes. Clerk, can you confirm this meeting was properly posted?
Yes, it was.
Thank you. I invite you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. We recognize a quorum of our council here tonight with all Alderman Sparts excused absent tonight. Our first item of business is approval of our regular meeting common council minutes from June 16th, 2025.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Alderman Sizer.
Second.
Second by Alderman Schmidt. Any corrections, comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll move on to our consent agenda, items 2 through 7.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Butchlick and Sternig. Any questions, comments on the consent agenda? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We have a agenda item tonight where we will hold a public forum, public comment section in our agenda tonight regarding our new fire station proposal, which will be an action item right after this. We've invited the opportunity for members of our community to address the council here before you decide on whether or not to proceed with the construction of the new fire station. So at this time, I will open up the floor to our community for public comment. If you'd like to address the council here tonight, now's your opportunity. I'll invite you to the podium. Just state your name and proceed with your comments, and now's your time to be heard. Public comment time is open. Don't be shy. If you'd like to come on up, come on up. Hi, Mary Ann.
My name's Mary Ann Tishutek, and I just wanted to say I totally support the fire department and the need for this new facility. I think it's a reasonable tax increase to do that, and that we should go ahead with it.
Thank you, Mary Ann. Anybody else wishing to address the council tonight?
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Thank you, Alderman Sternig. Alderman Butchlick. I'll give one last call. We do have a motion to close the hearing. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Public hearing is now closed. We'll move on to action item number 9, which is resolution number 21, proceeding with the construction of the new fire station number 1. I'll entertain a motion to put this on the floor.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Alderman Zingsheim. Second by Alderman Butchlick. Sure, if you'd like.
Sorry. So I just wanted to run through a couple of notes with the resolution here. So this is just formalizing what has been discussed. It sets forth that we would use fund balance for the purchase of the property and references our fund balance ordinance that sets our reserve amounts. And then references the borrowing and the amount of 24.7 million. I did email with Phil Cosson, and he will be bringing his resolutions. So this isn't the final approval for the borrowing. He's going to be bringing the formal borrowing resolutions. And of course, as he discussed, it'll be part this year and part next year as part of the capital borrowing. And then the final portion of this is that C.D. Smith, who is our construction manager, shall proceed with preparing and publishing all the bid packages. We had a lengthy meeting to discuss how the logistics of everything is going to work. There may be some portions that, as allowed under their contract, C.D. Smith would accept those bids on behalf of the cities to proceed with certain phases, just to keep things moving along in a timely fashion. Similarly, they might order certain things like rebar in advance, just to make sure that we don't have a lag time while we wait for the delivery of those materials, once we do have the contractors in place. But by and large, they are going to bring a report of all the low bidders to Board of Public Works and Common Council to present those. It's anticipated there'll be two packages. The first one is going to be the site prep, demolition, kind of the stuff that we need to get moving as soon as possible. And then the second will be the actual construction portion once the plans are finalized in early September, I believe, right, Corey? Yep. So that portion that'll be the bigger portion that'll be brought after plans are finalized at the beginning of September. So that would be October, November when those plans or those bids would come forward. The other note is it is likely that if this is approved, we will move towards closing on the property early, just because it makes sense to get control of the property now so that we can start staging, get fences up, get trailers up. We can do as much as we can on the front end so that we can hit the ground running the second the contractors are ready to roll. So.
Thank you, Ian. I'd like to just give a few comments and then open up the floor to the council for comments, discussion. I strongly recommend that our council votes in favor of this resolution tonight. I think this project has been thoroughly planned, and it's time to execute. I think it's overdue. The cost of this construction, the cost of the need for this station is not going to go down if we wait. If we wait another year or 2 or 5, yes, interest rates could fluctuate, but you remember municipalities can borrow at lower rates than what we would normally be able to borrow for our homes, say. And if interest rates go down, we can certainly work with our financial advisor to restructure the debt and take advantage of lower interest rates in the future. So, but the cost of construction, the cost of materials, labor, and things like that is not going to go down. I'm pretty darn confident of that. The need is definitely there. I believe when this fire station was constructed, we had a fire chief and maybe a deputy chief and a lot of volunteers. And now we have close to 60 full-time fire and EMS personnel, many of them sitting in this room. I'm not going to say that they necessarily deserve this station as it relates to just, a better place to work or sleep. I think the entire community deserves this. They can perform their jobs at a higher level if they have a nicer facility to rest in, to train in, to store equipment and things like that. So the whole community, they deserve it as employees and hardworking employees who protect us, and we deserve it as well. So I just want to tell you that I strongly support this. I think the community is behind us on this. This will certainly be the most expensive borrowing that we will probably ever do in our time serving on this council. Shouldn't be taken lightly. We have a lot of work to do in other areas of our city, mainly on our roads. And we're going to be talking about that coming up in the next couple of weeks, couple of months as it relates to our capital budget. And I think we need to take a very hard look at how we tackle roads to make a difference. Really to make a difference, a noticeable difference when you're driving around the community. But this is a project that I believe has waited long enough, and the cost is only going to go up if we continue to wait. Our community deserves this, and I strongly support this resolution and hope you do as well. So with that, I'll open to any other comments, questions, discussion to the council. Butch,
Yeah. The last couple of weeks, that's been a pretty heavy topic, but nobody's come forward to me and mentioned they were against it, they were for it. I've looked on, I'm not a Facebook person, but I've looked on Facebook, and it's very interesting how one person has a question and all of a sudden someone else has an answer for them, and they're not even a fire department personnel. So I think a lot of people have really dug into this and looked at it, and in my opinion, they're all in favor of it because I've received one phone call, and that was today. And his only concern was the traffic on 33. How are we going to adjust the traffic? Have you been looking into it? And I know the chief has been really adamant about making sure that that is not going to be an issue, because there's been a lot of work put into this whole thing, and I am sure that traffic is not going to be the problem. You do not have any blind spots like you do where they are right now. It's very dangerous coming out of there with walkers and traffic. I'm 100% for this, and our firefighters deserve to have the facility. Number one was cancer is their number one killer. And if it means that this fire department has the ability to prevent these gentlemen from coming down with cancer, it's worth every penny. It's worth every penny. They put their line on every day when they're called to a fire. They have no idea what they're walking into. And yes, it's not a Taj Mahal. It's a place for these gentlemen and ladies to, when they're finished with their work, to sit back, relax, and get ready for the next call. So I totally support this, and I thank a lot of the people for discussing it, getting it out there, but they all know the process needs to be done. I know it's a lot of money, but we have to bite the bullet in order to keep it going.
thanks, John. Brett, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess I would definitely affirm what John and what the mayor has said. I had the opportunity very recently to tour several of the fire stations and see Chief Noren took me all on the inside, and a couple things that haven't been mentioned, I think that really stick out to me is one, our modern fire department does not look like it did 60, 70 years ago when we had it. One big thing is we have a male and female fire department these days, and the accommodations that exist were not designed to handle having all kinds of individuals, male, female, as part of the fire station. I think that's a key thing. So adapting the living quarters and all that to accommodate different folks. Additionally, I really, I think I'm kind of excited by the prospect of having the training tower on. It sounds like it not only would make our fire department well-equipped, but it could potentially make us sort of a regional center for other folks to come and train, and presents a lot of even potential possibilities for renting to other fire stations who could use that kind of support. Additionally, I just, I think that we also have to really consider whether the existing stations, or more specifically Station 1, but start to become a real hazard if we don't take care of it. And so I definitely, I don't want to necessarily bulldoze this sort of old pillar of our institution, but when it comes to being a place that can handle some of the very modern concerns of a city that's probably, 200% or the size that it was when it was built. Like, I know the population was 15, 16,000 when it was built, and now we're, over 30,000. We want to be able to give our best response, and I think that having a good response not only attracts businesses, but attracts, homeowners, people to come to the community. You want to feel safe, want to feel like we have a good, that safety is our priority as a community. So I definitely approve, and I, along with Councilman or Alderman Butchlick, I really have not heard a lot of dissent directly sent to me from community members. I know there is concern about taxes, but I think that the modest increase that we've been talking about over several years is definitely affordable, and certainly, we're doing this also to save the money that we'd be spending if we kick the can down the road a couple more years, so.
Thanks, Red. Anyone else? Yeah, Bill.
I always have a initial visceral reaction to raising taxes, but this is a need in the community, and I think it's been well thought out, and as has been mentioned, this is something that's not going to go down in cost, it's going to go up. And I think we can bite the bullet now, or we can bite it harder later. So I do support this. And thank you for mentioning roads, because I think that's something we should be focusing on.
Yes. Thanks, Bill. Matt?
Just real quick, I think it's important for the community to know, if they don't already know, that the amount of rigor that the selection committee has put in getting us to this point has been significant over many, many years, in particular over the course of the last year. And I was fortunate enough to participate in the selection committee for the architecture and engineering firm as well as the construction management firm. Two firms who have a high level of expertise in the type of fire station that we are going to be building here. There has been a lot of work done by the men and women in this room, our firefighters and EMS, who have participated in that committee. And I want to commend them for the work that they have put in, the time they've put in above and beyond what it is they do on a day-to-day basis in serving our community. And doing so in a fashion that put the taxpayer in front and center. Really taking a need-based approach to what it is we're going to be constructing, instead of a want-based approach to what it is we're going to be building. They've made decisions in looking at the materials they're using in the exterior, interior finishes that are going to stand the test of time, because we're investing in a building that's going to serve this community for 60 to 70 years. And in some instances, yes, it may cost a little bit more, but not to the high end of anything that they have looked at in terms of the choices that could be made in building this building. So I take that as being very positive, as they are looking at the value that this building is going to have and we will have as it serves our community. Last, I think it's important to know that, as we look at this, this is a very long-term investment that we are making, which is why I've been in full support of this from the onset. It is something clear that our community needs. And as the mayor indicated, this is something that we as a community do deserve. And I think is going to be something that is going to be a great thing for our community and surrounding communities as relates to recruiting, retaining, and having firemen and firewomen, those serving EMS capabilities in our community for many, many generations to come. So this is significant as we do something great for this community. And for those reasons, I am in full support of what it is we're doing moving forward.
Great. Thanks, Matt. Any more discussion, comments, questions? Yes, Bill?
You mentioned generations to come. That means that all of us in this room are not going to be here when this thing needs to be replaced. That's how far out this goes. Not to be morbid or anything, but
I'm guessing you're right, Bill.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor to proceed with the construction of new fire station number 1. I'll ask one more time, any comments, questions, discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. John, fellows, you've got 3 agenda items coming up here. The first is an ordinance to amend the 2020 comprehensive plan for the city of West Bend for a change in the recommended land use from industrial to single-family residential, from industrial and single-family residential to two-family residential for approximately .41 acres of land located 275 feet north of High Mount Road and on the west side of Stratford Road.
Good evening, everybody. This particular item, item 10 and 11 are similar in nature to both items. They're in the same location. This is for a redevelopment of some empty lots that are just on the west side of Stratford. We have a developer who's interested in building 4 single-family homes and 2 duplexes. They're working with the property owner who owns the industrial property to the south. It will fill in that gap. It's never actually had any homes on it. It was a parking lot back in the 60s and 70s for some industrial land, so bringing in a number of new residents in that particular area. And so this land use change facilitates that project going forward.
Thank you, John.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Alderman Butchlick. Alderman Schmidt, any comments, questions, discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. John, our next item is an ordinance to rezone approximately .53 acres of land located 275 feet north of High Mount Road and on the west side of Stratford from M2 heavy industrial to RS4 single family. I said that wrong again. From M2 heavy industrial and RS4 single family to RD2 two-family residential.
Well, we tried to give you a tongue twister. And it works. This is the matching zoning for those lands to go to the multifamily to allow for those 2 duplexes to be constructed.
Okay.
motion to approve.
Thank you, Alderman Schmidt.
Second.
Thank you, Alderman Sternig. Any comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And John, your last one is an ordinance to permanently zone approximately 107.6 acres of land located on the south side of Rusco Drive and approximately a quarter mile west of South River Road from temporary zoning to M2 heavy industrial.
This property, you might recall, we annexed into the city a number of months ago. When we annex, we typically annex with a temporary zoning. This process has gone through the planning commission. This is sort of the permanent zoning, so it will go out of the temporary zoning status into permanent zoning into that M2 heavy industrial district, which does match the comprehensive plan.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Zingsheim and Sternig. Any questions, comments? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Thanks, John. Our last item for consideration tonight is ordinance number 4, which is to repeal and recreate Municipal Code Chapter 12, which is licenses and permits. Ian?
So the original purpose of restating this section, or this chapter, was to address some of the changes to alcohol licensing that happened about a year ago. So you'll note, or I'll note as I go through, but one of the big changes was they created what's called a full-service retail outlet for brewers, wineries, and distilleries. So that allows off-premise sales of beer, wine, and liquor by producers. So what 1840 previously had one of these before they close. You'll also may recall that we've had some requests from Aspen Sky. Aspen Sky is now serving at the farmer's market, or selling at the farmer's market. And that is under a full-service retail outlet under their alcohol license. So there's a certain number of those type of off-premise permits that they can get based on production levels. So it's up to 3 per producer, and that's combined across beer, wine, and liquor. So Eagle Park, who does beer and also distills, can't have 3 for each. They just have 3 across the board. So that was kind of the start of this. In reviewing the existing Chapter 12, there was just, it was kind of one of those opening a can of worms situations. The biggest, one of the biggest issues was that the existing alcohol licensing language is just one section within Chapter 12. That is often a full chapter for other municipalities. So in order to not try and cram an entire chapter into one section, we separated it out and structured this into subchapters for licensing, kind of similar to the, was it Chapter 1 of the municipal code where we did the same thing? So now we have, general provisions, we have alcohol licensing, we have, grants of privilege, et cetera. So now we have different subchapters within the chapter. The downside of that is it meant that redlining really wasn't practical because we just changed the whole thing. So it really wasn't practical to do a red line of the chapter. I do want to run through kind of some of the significant changes. There were tweaks to language as we went through, just either updates to references to state statutes or administrative code, just small tweaks that have come through, developed over time where we don't actually follow what, our practices have changed over time. Consolidating, I think we had 3 different spots where we had sidewalk cafes and, such. So we've consolidated a lot of that to make sure it's, not spread out amongst the whole chapter. But to kind of run through the major changes, in alcohol licensing, we specifically added the quota numbers to the code, along with when we get more reserve licenses. I think we've done the calculation 2 or 3 times since I've been city attorney, and, new people come in, we forget how much, what the quota number was, and we have to go back and redo that calculation. So in order to stop and not have to do that in the future, we just have the quota in the code, so it's right there in front of everybody, and we know when we get another reserve license, because we get another for each 500 person increase in population, going back to, was it 1997, I believe? Something like that. So we updated that. In the applications and fees, we didn't change any fees. That'll be a separate fee schedule change down the road. But what we did do is update the renewal application timelines to make it clear that people need to timely submit them. So we just had a liquor license that was renewed today because it hadn't been submitted on time. This just addresses this. It adds essentially a late filing fee for not submitting in a timely manner, and makes it clear that if you submit after May 25th, we can't guarantee action prior to the end of the license year, because we may not have time to publish and act on it in a timely manner. For operators licenses, I don't think we really changed anything significant there. There may have been a tweak or two to language, but nothing significant. There's no substantive changes there. For issuing Class B licenses, the significant changes there are that we added a limitation that says that our Class B combo licenses, the intoxicating liquor licenses, which we have a quota for, should not be issued to fast food and fast casual dining restaurants. The concern there is just it's a finite quota, and we don't necessarily need to issue, I mean, they can still get a beer and wine license. We just don't need to be burning the liquor licenses for those type of businesses. We also clarified, and this is consistent with what we've been told from the Department of Revenue over time, is that when we publish, as we authorize today, for an available original license, the intent of that is not to convert an existing reserve license to a non-reserve license. The Department of Revenue would tell us we can't do that. There's probably ways we can do it, but the purpose isn't to try and every time we publish one of those, we get like 3 or 4, Applebee's used to be a frequent flyer. They'd always apply for the non-reserve license for whatever reason. Once a reserve license is issued, the penalty, the $10,000 fee that they have to pay is done. It doesn't affect them on an ongoing basis. It just affects how the business could be sold in the future. But the intent is not to, we want to make sure we can use those appropriately so that we can use those for economic development and target where we use those as a city. We added a new section where we actually specifically require and define what it means to have a premise. Premise is one of the biggest challenges for an alcohol license. We want to make sure that it's specifically defined so that somebody doesn't start serving outside of where they should be serving. As part of that, we added two provision, I think that's, might be in a different section here. Oh, nope, one of them is in a different section, sorry. But we did add a provision that addresses alcohol beverages on school grounds. I think we had just a blanket provision there, but we clarified that if there's a request to have an alcohol license on school grounds, we can grant that, but we need to make sure we have the administrator in charge of the premises signing off on it. So you can't just have somebody, having an event that happens to be on school grounds and we just approve it without the school district or, the school knowing about it. But there are certainly events, the Fish Fry at Holy Angels that has a picnic beer license and is in the Walnut Room, which is unequivocally school grounds. Maybe the festival is not because it's the parking lot, but, the Fish Fry certainly is. So this addresses that and says, yep, we can definitely grant that as long as it's approved by the school. There's a whole chapter about the full-service retail outlets. As noted, this is an area, so they're issued by the Department of Revenue, but the city has to approve them. We can place restrictions on, to some degree, the type of alcohol that can be served, and we can approve or deny them based on the same criteria that we would other alcohol licenses. So that adopts that language for these full-service retail outlets. They are permitted, so it does not apply to production premises. So if you have a brewery, they can serve as part of that. It also doesn't apply, we can't restrict sale of any type of alcohol that they produce. So if Eagle Park set up in, that's not proposed, it's just one I happen to know has a distillery license. Eagle Park set up where 1840 was, they're a distiller, they can also sell by right intoxicating liquor there. We couldn't restrict that there. If it was, somebody who just produces beer or wine, we could restrict that in that location. There is also a provision for temporary full-service retail outlets. This was something that people were doing even prior to the change with like the mobile beer gardens and stuff. But basically the clerk can approve those as long as the period for the proposed premises does not exceed 4 days. That's consistent with what the state has in their rules. But that would be very much like a picnic beer license. It's just the producer version of that. For the temporary Class B licenses, we updated some of the language for wine and beer walks. The biggest thing we have is there's a requirement that you have a full operator's license, not just a temporary operator's license for each 10 locations, just to make sure we have somebody with full training that's helping to oversee those events. The license restrictions and regulations, those, I don't think those have changed significantly, except I updated the presence after hours language to clarify when that applies, because it was kind of confusing. We also updated the online ordering and curbside pickup of the alcohol beverages. At least one of the grocery stores had already amended their premises. We didn't really address this. So we put in just some general rules that says that if you're doing curbside pickup of alcohol, it has to be a licensed operator who delivers it, and you need to check the ID essentially. There's a lot of municipalities that have much more onerous requirements. I think that was out of fear when that first started happening. I don't think it's a major issue here. maybe in college towns where it's a way to circumvent the underage drinking laws, but I don't think that's a huge issue here. The other one, I don't know if it's a significant change, but another big clarification is that we added specific language for the lapse of a license. Previously, it just said that they didn't operate. This clarifies, and it's pretty similar to what a lot of other communities have, that they have to operate for at least 100 hours in any continuous 90-day period. So that way you can't just open for a day and get 3 more months. You have to actually be operating. And the concern there is, again, we have a quota for liquor licenses. And so we don't want one just sitting out there needlessly when we can't, just somebody just sitting on it for whatever reason, right? Totally understandable, and the Common Council can certainly approve as they did when there's construction involved. That makes total sense. Nobody's going to do that construction unless they have that approved, but it does allow us, if somebody ceases operate, if Applebee's had ceased operation in December, we could have revoked their license after 90 days. Moving on, special events, we updated the language regarding alcohol licensing or alcohol beverages, just because of the new full-service retail outlets and specifically the opportunities that come with that for like Aspen Sky to serve or to sell their product. When people apply for those special or entertainment event permits, they have to specify what type of alcohol or how alcohol would be served. So is it going to be Aspen Sky is now the vendor for, or some other operator or producer is now the vendor for Music on Main? Lakefront Brewery is the sponsor, and they're going to actually use their full-service retail outlet to serve the alcohol there. Well, technically, they could serve intoxicating liquor with that, but we restrict that now. And it also clarifies that, some like Aspen Sky isn't serving glasses of wine to walk around the farmer's market. They're selling their product they may do tasting there, but they're certainly not selling a glass of wine and you can walk around the farmer's market with it. So it's clarifying those requirements. The other, I would say, significant change I think we updated here was in the temporary privileges in public right-of-way. We've always had kind of 2 main areas. You see this, sidewalk cafes, which you see on Main Street especially, and then also the sidewalk display permits. We kind of tweaked that language because the way it existed right now, it said that you couldn't leave it out at all times, even though we have various people who do that. So they were, they would have been in violation of our grants of privilege. So we updated that language and said that it has to be part of the application and that the city can restrict the leaving it out at all times as part of the license application. And that's for both sidewalk cafes and for the like sales of items. We also made both permits year-round and updated the renewal date. I think we restricted sidewalk cafes to like April to October or something. If the weather warrants it and somebody wants to have, their sidewalk cafe open in February, March, whatever, go right ahead, right? As long as they're compliant with the restrictions, that's fine. So we updated that. The other, the next one, the business permits and licenses, I think these were all just small tweaks. Amusement devices, we made it clear that it's not just, like if it's the digital currency, that's fine too. So like the cards like you have at a lot of a lot of the games now, it doesn't have to just be coin type things. It could be the credit cards or the cards with credits that you swipe as well. The massage licenses we updated to clarify a little bit because we had some confusion about what is an establishment. So basically, because you have like the chair rental type places where it's multiple office spaces that are each rented. We clarified that if it's a single establishment with multiple rooms that's controlled centrally, that's one establishment. If it's like each person has their own, they each have to get a separate massage establishment license for each independent business that's operating separately. Because they control their own, they're controlling their own space. There's not an overlap of somebody who's overseeing that. The weights and measures, we beefed that up a little bit just because we've had some challenges with compliance. And then we removed some grandfathering language for the trailer, the mobile home park, just because we don't really have anything grandfathered at this stage. So it would just be regulated as set forth in the code. The other, I don't know if it's not a substantive change for the most part. I reworked the section about licensing of dogs and cats and pot-bellied pigs because it was very confusing. It's dogs, cats, and pot-bellied pigs. Dogs, cats, pot-bellied pigs. So I changed the definition to licensed animal. The other, I guess, so that we could consolidate everything. The other substantive changes, there's been a lot of confusion about emotional support and service animals and how are they licensed or not and what are the requirements there. And that's, I think, common across the board. As long as we are treating service and emotional support animals the same as every other, uniformly with any other animal, we can require licensing and rabies vaccination just like every other dog and cat. So the way we address that is I defined service animal and emotional support animal. Service animals are defined in the Americans with Disabilities Act, so we kept that consistent. Yes, it does include trained miniature horses because they are allowed under the ADA. Emotional support animals are not defined in the ADA, but I pulled the Fair Housing Act language that's in the Fair Housing Act for the state. And so basically is if you provide the documentation that's required in the Fair Housing Act, you can register you can license your service animal and emotional support animal at half price. And then with those licenses, those are essentially not considered pets for number purposes. They are exempt from the limitations on the number of animals because of their emotional support animals or service animals. And then I clarified in the number of animals that it's a maximum of 2 dogs, 2 cats, 2 pot-bellied pigs, or 4 total, right? So you can't have 6 animals. It's 2, 2, 2, and a maximum of 4. And that was kind of a gray area before because the pot-bellied pigs maybe or may not be included. Personally, I would be fine about getting rid of the pot-bellied pig, ordinance because I don't think anybody's using it, but it's been pointed out that the second we get rid of it, somebody's going to want to use it, and we're just going to have to readopt it. We restrict pot-bellied pigs to only the teacup variety, the small variety. It's not the giant, 200-pound pot-bellied pigs. It's only the little ones that don't exceed 35 pounds. It's the first ordinance, one of the first ordinances. The first 2 ordinances I ever had to write were actually in this chapter. It's the trick-or-treat one and the pot-bellied pig one. So, and then the other significant change is we removed bike licensing. The chief said basically nobody really does that anymore, and it's just a hassle and more money than it's worth at this stage. So we just removed that requirement at this stage. So, as far as adoption. Again, especially since it wasn't redlined, I fully acknowledge that people may want additional time. You can certainly adopt it over 2 meetings. I know Alderman Schmidt has indicated that that's how he would like to proceed. If there is also, and it doesn't come into play that often for this council, but there is also the ability to waive the second reading for a non-unanimous vote if 2/3 of the members want to adopt immediately. So it doesn't come up very often. I'm just putting that out there that if the will is to adopt it immediately, that's fine. Or fully acknowledge that it may be over 2 meetings. I will not be here at the next meeting, just so you know, so please ask any questions in advance if you have questions or changes for me. But I know that was a very long summary, but it kind of was necessary because it covers a lot of ground there. So I apologize for the lengthy summary, but I think it was needed.
I'm satisfied with that
Okay,
explanation.
okay.
Thank you for that.
Yes, yeah, like I said, I apologize. I wish I could have redlined it and then you could have seen it all in front of you, but I also didn't want to have to give that summary 5 different times, 10 different times, so.
I have a question. Ian, you live here, and Jolene, you live here. Is there anything, if we adopt this, that in your mind, you're thinking that there's a business that is now going to be out of compliance with our code? Are you thinking there could be anybody that just, you don't have to tell me who or where or what, but is this gonna be changing, because this is a lot of change in this code.
I don't think it's that this will create non-compliance. I think this is going to help us try and move towards compliance with a couple of businesses that are already non-compliant. So this is building in flexibility, because like the previous provisions for the temporary, you know, the right-of-way, I believe, said it has to be removed on a daily basis, and that is not what happens. And so this gives flexibility, but it also means, because of that flexibility, we need to make sure that that is addressed. I'm just pulling up the existing code. Yeah, sidewalk display, no display shall be permanently attached, and, yeah, I think, so it is, oh, yeah. Display must be removed whenever the applicant's business is closed or the obstruction is otherwise unattended by the applicant. That's the existing code, which clearly does not happen. I mean, I'll say it, call it out what it is, specifically with Tennies, right? Like, that does not happen. They are not compliant with the current grant of privilege language. We are building in flexibility, but with that also is likely to come some discussion about what is appropriate compliance. You know, where can they leave stuff out every night? Where do they have to move it in on a daily basis? You know, the 5 foot, making sure the 5 foot is in effect everywhere. Same with some of the side, I don't know that any of the sidewalk cafes are leaving stuff out at this stage into the right of way, but you could have that as well. So this just kind of clarifies a lot of that.
Chief?
Thank you. Just to assure the council, Ian certainly did the vast majority of work, but all of our subject matter experts spent a tremendous amount of time, clerk's office, PD, DPW reviewing the taxi, certainly John and Max with development and engineering going over. Our whole goal, as always, is to have clear, simplified, and consistent law that's being able to be followed by our citizens. So in this rewrite, the opportunity, we had to rewrite to put in the full-service retail, but this gave us an opportunity to make sure that this was good law. And so a lot of the conflict that we've experienced over the 30 years of my career is because there was ambiguity in the ordinance. For instance, as Ian's pointed out, and I will not say pot-bellied pig one more time because I was starting to get offended. That was a cop joke, maybe. But our sidewalk cafe had one criteria where, let's say, the Antidote can leave their tables and chairs out as long as there's that 5 foot passageway. However, we were saying in the sidewalk display that those items had to come in every night. That wasn't consistent. So now we've written it consistently. We've given our team the tools to have the ability to have conversations. We really just almost became a laissez-faire. We're not going to deal with it because it's been in existence for so long. Now we have the tools that will be able to have conversations. It'll be within the application. And if there's a concern, it'll come before you as the elected body to vet out, like you do a lot of those permits that become controversial, which we don't expect that to be the case here. We're going to get compliance, and we'll work through to make sure that we're having good, followable law. I'll just speak to the bicycle license really quick. It was a nice program when I started 30 years ago. Everybody put a bike license on, and when we found the bike laying in the park, we could take it back to some young man or woman's house and get in their bike back. Doesn't happen anymore. The only ones that buy license are when they buy the bikes at the auctions, our auction, and we require them to. Nobody else is. If we're not having a law that's and we are not going to start writing tickets for not having a bike license. It's 2025. So if we're not going to enforce it, which would be the only way that we would get it put back into play, then we don't need to have that law in the book. So that a lot of the tweaks, there's nothing in this rewrite that we're sneaking past you. All of it was really vetted out very well by our teams to make sure. We talked about every aspect of making sure that we were actually supporting our businesses, a lot in the special event permit license and those things to make sure that we weren't violating state law, which is pretty important, but also making sure we were supporting businesses. No bar wants to have an opportunity for you to walk from one bar with a drink and go into their bar with that drink. We aren't going to allow that. We clarified the language to make sure. It's a lot of those type of changes. There is nothing in this rewrite. I'm a citizen of the city. There is nothing in this rewrite that I would be embarrassed or feel like we were doing something nefarious. It truly is a better written chapter that will help the citizens follow the law, help us to have the conversations to enforce, but help them follow the law, and just seek clarity and consistency. It's a really good rewrite, and Ian did a great job on it.
And there is going to be a lot of, I think, creativity in the coming years with the full-service retail outlets, because it creates such a unique opportunity for producers to sell. We don't know what all that's, going to look like. Obviously, Aspen Sky is kind of on the cutting edge, like with the farmer's market. But, there's going to be a lot of, the clerk can't approve it, but I could see, somebody doing a whiskey tasting as a fundraiser and bringing in a distillery under a full-service retail outlet for a day, right? Clerk can't approve that, Common Council certainly can. We want to make sure that's targeted and it isn't a street event situation.
I just had two quick questions. One, I think I brought this to the clerk's attention a while ago, but one of my constituents had asked about, they own a candle shop and they want to sell like
Yep.
alcohol there, just like the people who do like the paint and sip
Yep.
stuff do.
So
Where would that be in the provision?
So the statutes define what is a public place that requires a permit or an alcohol license or permit to sell. And unfortunately, the way it currently stands, there is an exception, or there is a, and also where you can issue alcohol licenses. There is currently an exception for painting locations. It is specific to painting locations. It is not any business, where any type of craft is performed, unfortunately. So I don't know what other communities are doing and how they're allowed to do it, but it is very specific in the statutes. The other one we commonly get the question on is like hair salons, right? Like hair salons cannot be licensed establishments. It doesn't work. Like that, they do not fit any of the requirements for who can obtain a license, an alcohol license.
Okay.
So.
The other question I had is section 12.301 or B there. I just wanted to understand what that meant. Sorry, I'll get it back up to there.
You're talking exceptions?
Yeah, the exceptions. Maybe I'm misreading it.
Yep, so there are times when we have the best example I can remember is back when Cafe Sorette was in business.
Yeah, 1B.
The question is, it's an exception. A permit shall not be required under this section for the following: entertainment events occurring at premises holding a Class B fermented malt beverage license or a Class B intoxicating liquor license. So the example there would be Cafe Sorette did a dinner event in the street. I don't remember specifically what the details were, but I remember they did a temporary extension of premise into the street that we approved as an extension of premise. We would not require a street event permit for that because it's an extension of premise.
I'm sorry, I gave
Yep.
the wrong thing, but you're in the right section. So,
Yep.
yeah, in the exception, the students going to from school classes or school activity, what, that exception?
Oh, if there's a huge parade of kids parading down the street between, Holy Angels is heading down to the library with their, or to the Ben Theater with their entire school.
Yeah.
They don't need a parade permit or something like that just because they have like the entire
Okay,
school
I'm sorry.
going. Yeah.
I was confused. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
Yeah, we're just making sure that it's not, just like a funeral procession, right? Like, it's not a parade. It's not a parade if everybody is just transferring to another school activity.
Okay.
So,
Yes, Mayor Beth.
I have a question about the pets. Did I understand correctly that you could have 2 cats or 2 dogs, no more than 4? What's the rationale? I mean, what if you have 3 cats or 3 dogs, period?
so that's always a fun one is why? Why is that? this is the way the licensing has been done, it always has been 2 and 2, but not a combination of any mix and match of 4, right? Like, it's always been 2 cats and 2 dogs. We did talk about it, and like, talked about, I think the one of the concerns is, having 4 dogs on a premise can be excessive. I don't know that the same concern exists for 4 cats. Obviously, the bigger concern with cats is 14, or something like that, right? But if somebody has 4 cats, are you even going to know, right? Like, unless there's a problem, you're not even likely to know about that, fine. But it's just consistency. That's kind of why we stuck with with keeping it 2. It just removes any confusion for that.
Just to add, it's not unreasonable living in a city situation to restrict the number of animals. That's very standard across municipalities, just because of the concentration of population. If you live out in the country and you have a large farm, you can have as many cats as you want. When you live in the city, we do restrict animals. That's very standard across. Ian actually had recommended 4 cats. I was against that from the standpoint of consistency in the application of the ordinance. It's consistency for the clerks who have to process, to have to remember some type of, it's 2, 2, 2, or 4 total. Because there's not a lot of pot-bellied pigs.
Good questions. Any other questions? I'll leave it up to the council tonight. If you'd like to make a motion, you're welcome to do so. If not, we can bring this back for second reading at our next council meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve
Second.
Chapter 12.
Thank you, Alderman Butchlick, and second by Berquist. Any more comments, questions, discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for all your hard work, Ian and team.
Thank
We'll
you
move
for
on
that
to our
reading.
reports. I'm sorry.
Thank you for that reading.
Yeah, you're very welcome. I wasn't trying to blow anybody off with it. It's just the complexity is there with this one, unfortunately.
Thank you very much. We have several reports tonight, so if we could, let's try to keep them brief and keep moving along here. Brett, you can read your report. That's fine. We're not going to stop you.
I'll just speak fast.
Plan Commission, Matt, you want to do that one?
Yeah, real quickly, we had public hearings and took action on tax incremental district number 18, which we learned about earlier this evening. We made some updates to the 2020 comprehensive plan and some zoning amendments. Those we adopted during the earlier part of this meeting. There was an extraterritorial survey, certified survey map that we approved. Site plans for the river side of the Hussar building, as well as some updates to some of the pathways within Manitou. And then we had some 2020 comprehensive plan and zoning amendments that all passed to set public hearings coming up in August and September, and that was the extent of that meeting.
Thank you.
Way to go.
Alderman Berquist.
Thank you, sir.
Take your time, too. We like your reports.
I know, there's a lot of stuff here. These guys like
I
to
didn't
hear
mean to
this.
say go fast. You take as much
Yeah,
time
yeah.
as you want.
Cool. Well, the last meeting of the library board was held on June 17th, and you guys all know how it started, right? Rhett, you're exempt from this one because you haven't been here for a while, but it started by call to order, pledge of allegiance, and approval of the consent agenda, okay? Every meeting. All right, so now you know. So now we're off to the bank. I thought you guys thought I was going to say races, right? Bank, financial reports. Joseph Legate provided quite a few donations to the, or reported quite a few donations to the library. Lynch Automotive, Quick Trip, Skinny Vicks, Maury's Honda, Cornerstone Dental, Washington County Dairy Association, Delta Defense, and the Friends of the Library Group contributed almost $7,000 for programming. This includes the summer reading program. Thank you to all those businesses and organizations. Also reported was 9 cents, that's right, 9 cents of interest income on our checking account. Now, that's transparency in financial reporting. Thank you, Joseph. Next came the library director's report. Steve reported that the library is busy with the summer reading program, which has bumped up circulation numbers to near normal levels following a slow period. We're at about 35,000 circulations compared to 38,000 the same time last year. Board President Deb Bartnikowski asked a question about staff reports that we regularly receive concerning cataloging, which is going on at the library. Steve gave us a nice class on the procedure and our benefit. Also brought up was our list of organization partners, these groups and organizations that partner with the library. Deb also commented that this list could not only benefit me when I put this report together for you guys, but also as a way to give these people acknowledgement. So those partners, it's important because they're part of our success, and not only the library, but the community. It was also suggested that how about we do a monthly spotlight of these organizations via our newsletter or social media outlets, which could be the way to go. Last item brought up concerned recently published statistics that show that our library continues to rank as one of the lowest in the county in terms of funding per capita. With current issues such as the HVAC system chiller repairs and other building maintenance matters coming out of future CIP funding and operating budgets, budget conversations will take on an increased importance. The library is a jewel for the community, and that provides more than just books and should be considered as such in future deliberations. Agenda items for considerations included the chiller repairs that I mentioned, main door repairs, review of the library patrons code of conduct, and the CIP. We approved transfer of funds for the repairs and discussed new language for the code of conduct policy, which removed an age-related component. It'll be rewritten and brought back at the next meeting for approval. The last item was a discussion of the library's CIP, what items should be included in that planning, and what should be considered operating expenses as we prepare for next year's budget discussions. The next meeting of the library board is July 15th. That is all.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks for the time.
Tourism Commission, June 17th.
Yes, I was on hand for that, and one of the big items that we discussed and was awarding a grant for the upcoming Christ Kindle event. It was actually, we got a nice presentation or discussion from Phil Frisch, who I guess I can congratulate him because I guess he's going to be the new executive director to the Downtown West Bend Association. But this is an event that would happen leading into or following Thanksgiving, leading into sort of the Christmas season, and we'll use a different section of downtown to have events and food and all kinds of things to sort of celebrate our German Christian or Christmas heritage, I guess. So it's kind of a unique event, but hopefully draw in people from different areas or get people to stay and stick around for the holidays. Other than that, we discussed a lot of the sort of priorities after talking with several tourism entities, what the priorities might be, and we there's a long list among them just sort of things like downtown restrooms and redesigning Old Settlers Park and digital signs, and there was also conversation about revisiting or giving updates on the proposal of a hotel convention center and where things have gone, and maybe for our September meeting, we're going to get hopefully some new figures and some ideas about what might happen in that regard. Other than that, there were some updates about a lot of the events coming up, things like the Ninja Mud Run, and obviously we just had a great Global Fest and Independence Day events in between that. So it was a good event, and look forward to what we find out in September.
Great, thank you. Joint Review Board met on Tuesday last week, and if you remember, just so you remember, the Joint Review Board is made up by the Moraine Park Technical College, the city and the county, the school district, and an at-large member, and we reviewed our TID financials. John went through that with our Ellers partners, and I believe that review gets presented to the council as well, if I remember right? No? We could if we want. I'll ask the rest of you. It's basically a review on how the TIDs are performing financially. And so that's an annual review that comes to the Joint Review Board. Do you guys want John to do that for the council?
Or I could just email you the report.
I'd rather have you present it, just so that we know what we're looking at. Let's put that on our agenda for July. Are you going to be here on the 21st?
Yeah, I'm planning on it.
Yeah, that'd be great. We just added an agenda item. It's a great review, and it goes through the financial performance of our TID districts. And so I appreciate you volunteering to do that. We also talked about TID 17, which we will talk about here tonight in closed session. TID 17 is south of Stratford Road, east of Main, and west of River. And that came before the Plan Commission then that night on July 1st, and there was a public hearing on the TID district, and there was nobody who spoke. The Plan Commission did recommend that they advance that TID district to you, which is our topic in our closed session here tonight. It's not. I'm thinking of TID 18. Sorry. We're not talking about TID 18 tonight. We're talking about TID 18 in August. Correct. The TID 17 is a totally different closed session discussion tonight. What we talked about in the Joint Review Board is TID 18, again, south of Resco, east of Main, west of River. That will come to the council in August. It was talked about at Plan Commission that night and advanced to Common Council for August. That's all I have. I'll give you just a quick, my little mayor report, if you will. Next council meeting, July 21st. Tuesday, July 15th at 10 a.m., 7 Brew is going to have a ribbon cutting and opening. And so that's just down the street from where we're sitting here, and they're very excited to get open. I saw probably 20 to 25 employees working at 7 Brew today, bringing in their supplies and things, and so they're eager to get open. So Tuesday, July 15 at 10 a.m. is their ribbon cutting, if you'd like to come to that. Big thank you to everybody who was around this weekend for the 4th of July parade and festivities. The parade is a major, major team effort on behalf of our city employees. Parks and Rec employees are setting up the parade route. DPW, street crews are blocking intersections and things. Our police department, our community service officers, our fire department, our communications team. It's really a major, major team effort, and it was a wonderful, safe weekend. And thank you to Horicon Bank for the fireworks display this year. That was great as always. Kiwanis, their Duck Derby was awesome, and everything that went on this weekend was just a lot of fun. It was nice and hot and humid. And then, of course, the weather yesterday was also kind of nice, just to relax on a Sunday and get ready for the work week. That's all I have. Chief?
I will keep it very brief. You are forgiven for switching the TIDs, because actually it's very exciting. On the next 2 months of agendas, you're going to see a tremendous amount of work being put forward and brought to you through John and his team. A lot of great developments occurring. It's really exciting. That is not a piece I knew I would get excited about in this position as the interim, but it is, and I'm very proud of our team, and we're moving forward on that. Just to continue on with the 4th of July, I just want to really thank our team, Parks, Fire, DPW, Water. There wasn't a department that wasn't touched that helps us, putting on a parade, making sure that it's safe and for our citizens to enjoy is now a major operation. Putting on a fireworks show and making sure it's safe is a major operation. It cannot be done with just the police department, with just fire. It is a full, all-out effort by your employees, by every one of your departments. The thing that I'm always impressed on, and I really want to make this point, is if you went to Riverside Park or Regner Park at 7 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, July 5th, you found a clean park. You found clean parks that were able to be used by our citizens the day after the 4th of July. We left, I think we broke command down at about 11 o'clock on Friday night, right, Chief? And by 7 o'clock in the morning, those parks were clean and ready to go. And that's every single year. We kind of forget about the 5th of July being a big pull for our Parks Department, our DPW, our teams, and it's a great thing that we bring to our citizens. So just wanted to shout out to our team on that. It's good stuff. Long day, but good stuff.
Yeah. Any other reports from Alderman tonight? Yes, Mary Beth.
I'd just like to add on to the kudos for July 4th, because I live near Kilbourne in Indiana, and that intersection has been closed. It's been miserable, but whoever worked so hard to get that open by July 4th so that people could get to Riverside Park was fantastic, and it's a beautiful intersection now. I didn't realize how much I used it until it was closed because I didn't know how to get around the city without using that intersection. But they did a great job, and kudos to whoever worked to get that open on time. Thank you.
Anybody else on this side? This side, yep.
But I just add to the course supporting the 4th of July. It was very kid-friendly. I brought my kids down, get their free root beer floats, and they enjoyed that. And I was also just going to give a shout out. I really appreciated I don't know if any other council members were on hand for the Global Fest, despite the fact that it was really, really hot. It was a very unique experience for West Bend, and I really appreciated just, the diversity of food, all the presentations. I think when we arrived, there was a belly dancing exhibition there, and a number of different vendors and just booths that I don't usually see at a lot of the city council events. Was really, or I'm sorry, not the city councils, the downtown events. But I thought that was I guess I hope for a continue the next year, and as well as some of the other exciting things. So,
Thanks. Yeah, Brett.
Just a last word of thanks to everyone who chimed in with comments about the fire department and all that. I know there was a lot of comments floating around social media. I know Chief got involved in a couple of those at kind of clarifying some people and squaring some people away and things like that. Yeah, again, just those people that didn't know or had questions, ask. Ask one of us. Ask the people that know. That's how we find out, and we know. Look, Mary Ann was the only one who stepped forward tonight to give her comment, and appreciate that. But there's a lot of other people that were voicing their opinions in other places. Again, come to us. Come to us and reach out, and we're here for them. It's about trust, and they can trust us in our decisions and what we've been doing over the years to lead to being able to do stuff like this, like our borrowing and our spending and things like that, keeping that in check so that we can do good things like this. So again, just thanks to all those people who reached out, and you have been heard.
Thanks. We do have an item that may be appropriate for closed session tonight. So with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute 19.851E, which is deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. The item of discussion tonight will be TID number 17. I'm told that there will be no action taken tonight, and so this will just be a discussion on TID 17. And if you vote in favor of going into closed session, we will adjourn this meeting from closed session tonight.
So moved.
Thank you, Alderman Sternig and Alderwoman Sizer. I will randomly call the roll. Engelking.
Here.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry.
Sizer.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Butchlick.
Yes.
Berquist.
Aye.
Zingsheim.
Aye.
Sternig.
Aye.
All right, we're now in closed session.